opening ceremony in the morning, and the opening ceremony was graced by the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and Student Affairs, Deputy Vice Chancellor, Finance and Development, who represented the VC, the acting Vice Chancellor of Kaimosi Friends University, and that was Professor Maurice Amadalo. Then we also had two external speakers, invited speakers, guest speaker from National Commission for Science, Technology and Innovation, Professor Walter Oyawa joined us and spoke to us. We had the CEO of National Research Fund, Professor Dixon Andala, who was represented by Dr. Musotsi Eliud. And then we had our first keynote presenter yesterday in the morning session, that is Professor Jones Agwata from Machakos University. So a recap of that session. The Director of Research, Innovation and Outreach, Kaimosi Friends University, Professor Benson Ojuang, welcomed members to the blended launch, whereby there were internal staff members of Kaimosi Friends University, numbering about 30 who were physically present for the launch, who accompanied the Vice Chancellor, the acting Vice Chancellor. Then we had, in the same welcome note, the online participants were acknowledged by name, and their efforts were recognized, and through the Director of Research, the university expressed gratitude for participants having taken their time to develop abstracts and then revise them, and also ensure that they send the PowerPoint presentations. That is the basis of a successful conference. So it was underlined that without participants and paper presenters, there will be no conference, and therefore participants were encouraged to continue collaborating with Kaimosi Friends University in their academic endeavors to ensure even a bigger conference next time round. Now, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic and Student Affairs, also underlined the importance of research and dissemination as a way of promoting scholarship at university level and finding solutions to the problems of society. And he also appreciated the efforts of the paper presenters, the session chairs, and the reviewers in ensuring the successful conference. He also thanked management of Kaimosi Friends University for supporting the conference. He was grateful to the conference organizing committee for putting up the logistics and all the processes to ensure a successful conference. It was underlined that he underscored the necessity of bringing together multidisciplinary perspectives to help explain phenomena in society. Next, we had the chief guest, that is the representative of the acting Vice Chancellor. The acting Vice Chancellor is called Professor Peter Mwita. but he delegated the work of opening the function to the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Finance and Development, Professor Maurice Amadalo. Now, on behalf of the Vice Chancellor, Professor Amadalo also noted that 29 universities had produced participants, and that was notable. He also noted that at least 65 papers would be presented, and the general participants would exceed 100. That is higher than last year. He was happy to note that all efforts had been put in place to ensure a seamless conference. He thanked management, council, Senate, and the organizing committee for ensuring a successful online conference. He acknowledged the participation of the CEO or Director General of NACOSTI, Professor Oyawa Walter, and the CEO of National Research Fund, Professor Dixon Andala, who accepted our invitation to grace our opening ceremony and make brief remarks on the roles of the two government institutions in promoting research at the university. KAFU scholars were encouraged to promote cutting-edge research guided by the motto of Spring of Knowledge. He observed that this was the second national conference organized and executed by Kaimosi Friends University just 2 years after being chartered. And he said that that was no mean achievement. He encouraged scholars to collaborate and mobilize resources in order to ensure that we can have an international conference next year. Next, we had the Director General of National Commission for Science, Technology and Innovation, who gave an overview of the role of NACOSTI in promoting research in Kenya as the body charged with mobilizing resources and administering it, and also by regulating standards, especially by promoting the objectives of the National Science, Technology and Innovation Strategy. He was happy to note that Kaimosi Friends University has great potential given its location in the Western Kenya region, where there are many potential research sites like Ikolomani, gold mines, and many other natural resource areas which need to be studied so that the natural resources can be exploited for the benefit of the society. Kaimosi was on the right track in terms of dissemination and creating knowledge in this particular context. Next, we had the representative of the CEO of National Research Fund, Dr. Musotsi. Dr. Musotsi also underlined the role of NRF in financing research proposals, and all the programs of NRF were outlined, and scholars were reminded to be on the lookout and to check the opportunities that they can exploit in order to get government funding. They were encouraged to write quality proposals on contemporary issues, and then this will be evaluated and considered for funding, competitive funding by the National Research Fund. Professor Jones Agwata. Professor Agwata spoke to us on assessment of climate change management strategies in Kenya, and he took us through the background of climate government. He outlined the policies, laws, and regulations governing climate change and climate action. He observed that 70% of natural disasters are related to climatic events. He took us through the strategies for managing climate change in Kenya, and then he proposed an action plan, and he focused on the research and technology needs to counter climate change, and he outlined the legal framework for climate action, and he ended by giving us the opportunities for research and languages can benefit from climate change. After that, we had tea break, and then we went into our individual break. Economic revitalization, 4 papers were presented. Room 2, information communication technology, 3 papers were presented. Global issues, and all the 5 papers were presented, and that marked the end of day 1. There was a technical hitch towards the end, but most of the session chairs maneuvered, and they managed to complete their sessions. Now, with those remarks, having recapped day 1, I now want to introduce, I will welcome the DVC Academic and Student Affairs to officially welcome the second keynote speaker. Let me see if our DVC has joined us. Officially welcome the day 2 participants to Kaimosi Friends University second National Virtual Conference. Prof, we can't hear you. Kindly try increasing your volume. Your microphone is active, but we can't hear you.
He's muted.
Yeah? No, even when he unmutes, we can't hear him. He has unmuted now. I think he's working on it. Prof, your microphone is active, but when you speak, we can't hear you. Oh, Bia amekimbia huko.
Prof, can you hear me?
Yes, Prof, we can hear you now. You may, proceed. Yes.
Thank you. So thank you very much, and my apologies for that pitch. Let me take this opportunity to welcome all presenters for today and all the participants, starting with our keynote speaker, Professor Daniel Orwenjo, who is going to give us today a very, very stimulating talk on terrorism. I want to take this opportunity to welcome other guests. I can see the Vice Chancellor, Gretsa University, Dr. Karanja, who is our colleague as well. Most welcome, Daktari. And all the participants, I'll not mention each by name because Professor Ojuang has already recognized. We really appreciate. Lenora, you are very consistent. You really was there very much yesterday, and Justus, and all the colleagues, Professor Keo and others. So I want to really appreciate the colleagues who have joined us from other institutions. And I think we'll have also a stimulating sessions today, looking through science, technology, health, climate, and cross-cutting issues, which go through the language and communication. So I don't want to take much time because I know everyone is eagerly awaiting for the presentation by Professor Orwenjo on terrorism threats, notes as illegal speech and acts. I will now invite the Director Research to just present the profile of our guest speaker, our keynote speaker today. And most welcome, Prof. So Professor Ojuang, over to you.
Thank you, DVC, Academic, Student Affairs and Research, for welcoming participants today too. Now I will read the profile of our second keynote speaker for this conference. Professor Daniel Ochieng Orwenjo is an associate professor of applied linguistics and also director, Center for Languages and Communication Studies at the Technical University of Kenya, Nairobi. He is a fellow of the Global Young Academy, GYA, and Africa Science Leadership Program, ASLP. He is also the national chairman of the Kenya DAAD Scholars Association, KDSA. Professor Orwenjo holds a Doctor of Philosophy degree in Applied Linguistics from the University of Frankfurt, Germany, and a master's degree in Applied Linguistics from Kenyatta University, Kenya. As an applied linguist, his main research interests revolve around the nexus between linguistics and other disciplines by focusing on the application of linguistic knowledge in solving real-life problems in other disciplines such as education, law, anthropology, sociology, and psychology on one hand, and using knowledge in these disciplines to solve linguistic problems on the other hand. Professor Orwenjo has published widely in a number of internationally peer-reviewed journals, in addition to edited books and book chapters. Professor Orwenjo will today speak to us on terrorism threat notes as illegal speech acts, a corpus-based approach. Ladies and gentlemen, let us welcome Professor Orwenjo with some claps. Okay, Professor Orwenjo, the floor is yours. We'll give you between 25 to 30 minutes, then there'll be a brief discussion. Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes, Prof, we can hear you. Good morning.
Yes, I want to request, because of internet connectivity that I don't activate the video, because then the quality may go down.
Yes, Chair, presentation. So we can proceed. Have you set the screen for sharing?
Yes,
You're able to share your screen. Okay, fine.
It's there.
Okay.
So maybe can they share from the other end?
Yes, let me ask the technician to share. Call OBA, I don't know where.
Okay.
Yes, we are getting the technical support.
So
yes, you can make general remarks as we wait for the PowerPoint.
Because I can't see the.
No, he's supposed to do something. He's supposed to. Yes, he will make you a presenter, or he will share from here. Let him.
If he could make me a presenter, it would be fine.
Okay.
Friends of the Kaimosi Friends University. Now, my talk will generally be on terrorism, death notes, and how we can use linguistic knowledge to try to unravel and understand them, and possibly
have you made him a presenter?
Analyze them so that we can get rid of, or at least minimize, the threat of terrorism. Okay, I'm trying to share.
Yes, he has made you a presenter.
Yeah, I've seen that. So I'm trying to share that.
He's trying to share. If it doesn't work, he will he'll do it from here. It is here.
I don't think it's worked. Okay, let's see. Can you see it now?
Just a minute. No, not yet. Let him share for you.
Okay.
Let us mute our microphones when someone is presenting. Paul Ogembo, mute your microphone. It is here. It is here. Share this one.
So I'm waiting for the signal.
It is coming. Let her assign someone to present for her.
Okay.
Yeah, good.
Okay. Yeah. Day 1 and day 2.
So are we set then?
Yes, Prof. You can proceed. So I will be scrolling for you.
So that is the title slide. So maybe we just move to the next one. So we all agree that terrorism is the greatest, if not one of the greatest challenge in the world today. And because of this, all researchers from all disciplines should focus on it and it should draw some research interests so that we understand it well and solutions to it can be found. Now, it is because of this need that, that my presentation will focus on it from a linguistic point of view. The Heritage Foundation 2017 records that from 1970 to 2014, there have been at least 141,966 terrorist incidents worldwide. And of these, over 23,000 occurred in North America and Europe. And in 2014 alone, there were 13,463 terrorist attacks around the world, causing at least 32,700 deaths and more than 34,700 injuries. So what this paints is a picture that can make us conclude that we are currently living in a wave of terror. Next slide. Now, one important thing that we need to take into account is most of these attacks, if not all of them, are usually accompanied by messages. The terrorists, for one reason or another, as we shall see later, they normally send messages that accompany the attacks. And these messages normally come in three types. There are pre-attack messages. Sometimes as the attack is going on, they release messages. And sometimes after the attacks, they also release messages. In some cases, you find an incident is accompanied by all the three types of messages: before, during, and after. Crucially, no, not yet, Prof. I'll be saying next if I. Crucially, when there is an attack before, when there's a communication before an attack, then it behoves the authorities that we can take advantage of this as a warning and try to see if we can preempt the attack. So at a time when there is increased incidences of terrorism, the meaning contained in these messages could provide opportunities for addressing terrorism. And when it comes, and this will be now the focus of the rest of the study, we will focus on communication or terrorism threat message that comes before the attack. And this is normally a threat. When it is before attack, it is a threat. So we are focusing now on the terrorist threats, which we will define as messages that are released before a terrorist attack. Next. For instance, if you check the media, a few weeks before the 9/11 attacks, the leader of Al-Qaeda then, Osama bin Laden, had issued a chilling message entailing a plan that would make big news, in which he also exhorts God to grant our brothers success. That's according to Withnall 2015. Near our home here in the Garissa University incident, there were notes, threat notes, even pinned on the university facilities. It is said one was even pinned around at the gate, which was very clear that something was going to happen. According to Tochia and Odula, one message read, "Kenyan cities will run red with blood." And then a few days before an attack, there was an SMS warning of an impending attack, which was widely circulated even among the students at the university. And according to Bosch 2015, a few days before the Garissa University attack, on the students' notice board, there was a rugged piece of paper which was clear enough in its meaning. that a terrorist attack would be carried out on the campus any day now. The most recent terrorist attack that the world is dealing with is the one that took place in Russia. This one that killed over 100 people. Even then, there were messages that were given. Next. So we are saying that vital pre-attack communication was available, as we have seen. But in both cases, or in many of the cases, this communication was not analyzed, was not grasped, sometimes was ignored for purposes of lessening the impact of the attacks. Because my contention here is that had there been more understanding of the threat communication, there could have been better preparation and improved response to the attacks. So that, therefore, there is a need to investigate legally valuable texts that are the threat messages, so that any comprehensive investigation would lay bare both explicit and implicit meanings expressed in these threat notes. Next. Apart from the actual attacks, there are also usually many terrorism threat notes that people or institutions receive every day or now and then. Now, a critical thing here is, and we will come back to this later, because we also appreciate that some of these messages could be hoaxes, could be a hoax. So how do we know a real threat from one that is not real? In line with one of the purposes of the International Association of Forensic Linguists, understanding the terrorism threat notes associated with terrorism becomes the concern of an applied linguist. Specifically, the need to deconstruct and analyze them. And findings from such analysis would be valuable in forensic linguistics use, for instance, in determining the realizability and meaning in the threats. The information from such analysis would also enable people to effectively comprehend terrorism threat notes that they may come across. Since in my presentation in the study, we will provide a basis for understanding such texts. Next. So the scope of the study that I conducted that forms the basis of my presentation today. So as I've said, it can be, these threats can be in various forms. I delivered to threats that were delivered using the internet. And this is because it gave me methodological ease, because all that I needed was to get to the internet and do what is called data mining. And this is evident from the title, a corpus-based approach. A corpus here means a collection of real-time language use. So just like other information age businesses, it is reported that terrorists use the internet to create a brand image, to market themselves, to recruit followers, to raise capital, to identify partners and suppliers, to provide training materials, and even manage operations. So we are painting here a picture of a high-tech organizations, just like international businesses would use internet for all these activities. Terrorists are not left out. The internet has transformed communication by significantly reducing the cost of doing all those operations that I've outlined there. And it has also lowered the threshold for engaging in risky behavior, such as recruiting, for example, terrorists, because it helps to conceal users' identities. So that we are saying that the internet offers terrorists a medium to legitimize disseminate, and coerce people to their cause. The other advantage is that terrorists are able to easily create new websites, accounts, change them, and close them. Next. Begin et al. 2009 have reported that the internet serves as a powerful instrument for terrorists to promote their extremist ideology and hatred. Terrorists use the internet more because the medium is the most convenient one to use so that they can get maximum publicity. In most of this communication, even why they give the threats even before, they are normally seeking publicity, and the internet provides them this. And the internet has also become the foremost strategic communication asset for terrorists as they use online chat rooms and message boards to fundraise, recruit, exchange information, and organize direct attacks. Since terrorists are increasingly using the internet therefore becomes the source of choice for these texts. Next. So riding still on the scope, riding on the technological, they are using multimodal discourses. That is, discourses where meanings are made in modes or systems, such as images, which are of central importance. So what this means is, in most of these websites, you will find video, you will find written text, you could also find images, still images like pictures. So these are what we are calling the modes. So ideally, a comprehensive study of these nodes ought to include all these forms. But my study was limited to the utterances, audio and written utterances. This limitation was due to the fact that it was not within the scope of the study to analyze all the forms. Another scope here is that these threat nodes can be